All right, everyone, get ready for a deep dive. Today, we're going to ancient Ionia.
Fascinating region.
We'll be looking at an excerpt from the Wikipedia article on Ionia. It's a pretty fascinating read.
Oh, absolutely.
Ionia, for anyone just joining us, it's a coastal region on the western edge of Anatolia, known for, well, for a lot of things, really. Beautiful landscapes, rich history, a lasting impact on philosophy and art. We'll be getting into all of that.
Yeah, it's a place that has it all, really. It captures the imagination more than just, a pretty picture. It was a real melting pot of cultures.
Right. A center of trade, innovation, and, oh boy, battleground for empires.
Oh, yeah.
So, to start, let's paint a picture of Ionia, like what it actually looked like.
Okay.
Herodotus, that ancient Greek historian, he famously described Ionia as having the, quote, fairest climate and weather in the world.
Wow, high praise.
Right. Think fertile valleys,
Yeah.
sparkling Aegean waters, and a coastline just dotted with these vibrant city-states.
Okay, yeah, I'm getting a good picture. Beautiful place, definitely. But, and this is key, it's not just about the looks.
Right, there's more to it than that.
The geography of Ionia, it really played a huge role in shaping its destiny. We're talking about a narrow coastal strip. Okay, but with three major rivers, the Hermus, the Cayster, and the Meander.
Three major rivers. Wow.
Yeah, and they create these fertile pockets, perfect for agriculture.
Perfect for growing stuff, yeah.
Exactly. And then there's those mountain ranges, the ones extending into the Aegean Sea, forming peninsulas. Talk about strategic real estate.
Yeah, prime location.
Exactly. Those geographical features, crucial for both trade and defense. The peninsulas, they created natural harbors, attracting merchants, from all over the Mediterranean. And at the same time, those same features, they provided natural barriers, making it harder for invaders.
Harder to conquer, yeah.
Yeah, harder to conquer.
So we've got this land. It's beautiful, it's fertile, it's easy to defend. But who were the Ionians? Where did they even come from? That's where things get a little mysterious.
Oh, yeah.
The origin of the word Ionians, it's a bit of a puzzle.
It really is. It's like piecing together an ancient mystery. You've got clues scattered across, languages, cultures, all sorts of things.
And theories. Don't forget the theories.
Right, of course. One theory, it links the word Ionians to a Proto-Indo-European root, meaning battle cry.
Battle cry.
Yeah, possibly hinting at a warrior past.
Wow, that's a powerful image. Okay, so we've got warriors, possible warriors, but then there's another theory, right?
Oh, yeah, there's always another theory. This one connects the name to the ancient Egyptian term, Unbididi.
Yeah, it's a mouthful. But basically, this term, it referred to a group of seafaring people from the Eastern Mediterranean.
Okay, so maybe not warriors, maybe sailors. Maybe. This theory suggests the Ionians might have had, maritime origins. Maybe even connections to ancient Egypt, which, that's fascinating considering their later prowess at sea.
Right. Okay, so we've got battle cries, we've got seafaring. What else?
Well, there's another theory. This one suggests Ionians comes from a Proto-Indo-European root, meaning power.
Power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So maybe they were powerful warriors or powerful sailors.
Could be. This theory suggests a connection to strength, dominance, maybe reflecting their position in the ancient world. But, it's important to remember, these are all theories. Piecing together the origins of ancient peoples, it's like trying to solve a jigsaw puzzle, but half the pieces are missing.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. Okay, but we can't forget the Greek myths, can we?
Oh, the myths.
Right, they add another layer to the story.
Definitely.
The Greeks, they believed that the Ionians, they descended from Ion, a figure from their mythology, and that they migrated from Greece to Asia Minor.
Right. And this myth, it likely reflects historical migration patterns, even if, embellished over time. It shows how the Ionians saw themselves.
How they understood their own identity.
Exactly. Connecting their identity to mainland Greece, but also at the same time forging their own path in Asia Minor.
So we have these different theories, each giving us a little glimpse into the Ionians' past. But let's move on to how they organized themselves.
Okay.
There was this thing called the Ionian League.
Ah, yes.
What was that all about?
Well, the Ionian League is a really interesting example of how ancient Greek city-states interacted. It wasn't a unified empire or a political powerhouse like some of the later Greek city-states.
Right.
It was more of a religious and cultural association, you could say. A confederation of 12 cities bound by, shared traditions and beliefs.
But not quite like the UN then.
Not quite, no.
More like a big ancient festival committee.
You could say that. They had their shared sanctuary and festival at Pan-Union dedicated to Poseidon. Religion, it was the glue that held them together, providing a sense of unity, even though they remained fiercely independent politically.
So they'd come together to celebrate, but when it came to politics, they preferred to do their own thing.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's really telling, I think, about ancient Greek priorities. Religion and local autonomy, they often trumped political unity.
Interesting.
In fact, the Ionians, they were kind of notorious for their inability to unite politically, even when facing, external threats.
Which is kind of ironic considering one of their most famous citizens was Thales of Miletus.
Oh, yes, Thales.
A brilliant philosopher who supposedly he advised them to form a united political entity.
Right. But his advice, it fell on deaf ears. It makes you wonder, did their independent spirit, this resistance to central authority, did it somehow contribute to their philosophical innovations?
Interesting question.
Were they more open to questioning established norms because they were so used to challenging political structures? It's something to think about.
It is. Okay, so clearly they weren't great at uniting politically.
Yeah.
But they were good at something, right?
Oh, yes.
Making money.
Absolutely.
The Ionians, they were known for their economic prowess, especially when it came to maritime trade.
Oh, yeah. Their coastal cities, especially Miletus and Phocaea, they were major hubs of commerce, trade routes stretching across the Mediterranean.
So they were like the ancient world's, like shipping magnates. What made them so successful?
Well, remember that strategic coastline we talked about?
Yeah.
It gave them access to both raw materials and markets. Perfect position to exploit trade routes, connecting the agency with the Black Sea, Egypt, even further.
So their geography wasn't just about pretty views. It was the foundation of their economic success. But all that wealth and prosperity, it was bound to attract attention, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Ionia became a target for rising empires.
Unfortunately, that's true.
First, it was the Lydians. And then the big one, the Persians.
Right.
And that clash, well, it would set the stage for some pretty dramatic events. Events that would change the course of history.
It certainly did.
Okay, so we've got the Persians on the move, and Ionia is right in their path. Talk about a cliffhanger. We'll have to pick up this story when we continue our deep dive.
Definitely. There's a lot more to come. Welcome back to our deep dive into Ionia. Picking up where we left off, the Persian Empire, casting a long shadow over Ionia, setting the stage, really, for a clash that would reverberate through history.
Yeah, that's quite the image. So what happens when you have this unstoppable force of the Persian Empire and it meets the independent spirit of the Ionians?
Well, it's not a simple story, not just conquest and submission, The Ionians, even though they weren't able to unite politically, they had this deep love for their independence. They weren't going to give it up without a fight.
So they resisted.
Oh, they did. They launched a revolt, in fact. It would spark one of the most famous conflicts, really, in ancient history. The Ionian Revolt.
Okay, the Ionian Revolt, was it just like the Ionians against this massive Persian Empire?
They weren't completely alone. They had some support, actually, from Athens and Eretria.
Other Greek city-states.
Yeah, exactly. They saw the Persian threat, as a danger to all Greeks.
So it starts to draw in other players then, expanding beyond Ionia itself.
Right, exactly. The Ionian Revolt, it becomes a flashpoint, a catalyst, really, for a much larger conflict between the Greeks and the Persians.
And what happens?
Well, the Ionians, along with their Athenian allies, they actually managed to sack Sardis, a major Persian city.
They attacked and burned down a Persian city.
They did. It was a huge symbolic victory for the Greeks, humiliating for the Persians. And it basically, it lit the fuse for the Persian War.
Or Persian Wars.
Yeah, a whole series of conflicts, really, that would shape the course of Western civilization.
So the Ionian Revolt, even though it failed in the end, it had this ripple effect that went way beyond Ionia.
Exactly. It's a reminder that even these seemingly small events, they can have huge historical consequences.
That's true. Okay, so the revolt fails and Ionia remains under Persian control. What happens next?
Well, their relationship with the Persians, it was complicated, not a straightforward situation. They weren't, treated as slaves or subjects exactly. They had a degree of autonomy. Their cities, they continued to prosper economically.
So not like a brutal occupation.
No, not really. The Persians, unlike some other empires, they were relatively tolerant of local customs religions.
Okay.
They saw the value, in keeping the Ionian economy running smoothly. They even adopted some aspects of Ionian culture.
So it's this strange mix of collaboration and resentment.
That's a good way to put it. The Ionians, they might have chafed under Persian rule, but they learned to adapt, even benefit from it. Remember, they were pragmatists as well as, idealists.
Right. Okay, so Ionia is under Persian control, but their spirit, it isn't totally crushed. They're, I don't know, biding their time, waiting for an opportunity. Is that where the Athenians come back into the picture?
You're on the right track. The Greeks, they eventually defeat the Persians in the Persian Wars, and that victory, while it had huge implications for Ionia,
Because?
the Athenian navy, which was, key to the Greek victory, they liberated the Ionian cities from Persian control.
Freedom. I bet the Ionians are pretty happy about that.
They were, but this liberation, it also ushered in a new era.
Oof.
Athenian dominance. The Athenians, they formed the Delian League.
What's that?
It was an alliance of Greek city-states aimed at, well, preventing further Persian aggression.
Okay, strength in numbers. Makes sense.
In theory, yes. But the Delian League, while it was initially for defense, eventually it evolved into an Athenian empire, really, with Athens calling the shots.
So the Ionians, after fighting for freedom from the Persians, now they find themselves, well, under the thumb of another powerful city-state.
It's true, and their reaction to it, well, it was mixed. Some Ionian cities, they welcomed Athenian leadership. They saw it as a way to ensure their security, their economic prosperity.
Okay.
Others, though, they resented Athenian control. They saw it as just a new form of imperialism.
So this Athenian influence, it's not just about military might then. It's about shaping Ionian identity.
That's a key point. The Athenians, they were clever. They expanded the definition of Ionian to include, well, a broader range of people within their sphere of influence.
Like saying we're all Ionians now.
Exactly. It was a way to legitimize their control by creating this sense of shared identity.
Smart strategy.
It was, but it also created tension, resentment, especially among those who saw it as, I don't know, like a dilution of their unique Ionian heritage.
So we have this power play going on. Athens is trying to reshape Ionian identity to suit their own imperial ambitions. And amidst all this, what's happening to the original Ionian League, that religious and cultural association we talked about?
The Ionian League, it continued to exist, but its role, its influence, it diminished under Athenian domination. Athenian power, both military and cultural, it kind of overshadowed the old religious ties, the ties that had, bound the Ionian cities together.
Okay, so the Ionian League is fading into the background. Athens is calling the shots. But Athenian dominance wouldn't last forever, right? History has a way of, well, throwing curveballs. What happens next in this Ionian saga?
Well, you're right. The Athenian Empire, it would eventually crumble, leading to new power struggles, shifting allegiances, and Ionia, once again, would find itself caught in the middle of a geopolitical tug-of-war.
Sounds like we're about to enter another chapter in this Ionian epic. We'll have to pause here and continue our deep dive in the next part. Welcome back to our Ionian adventure. It's been quite a ride, right? We've seen them navigate these shifting allegiances from the Persians to the Athenians and then, well, back to the Persians again.
It really is remarkable. The political landscape back then constantly in flux.
Yeah, like a high-stakes game of Risk, but played out over centuries. So after the Athenian Empire crumbled, who stepped in?
Well, the Spartans, they saw an opportunity, another powerful Greek city-state, They briefly took control of the region.
Okay, so now the Spartans are the new kids on the block. But didn't you say the Persians were back in the picture?
They were, and this is where things get, well, a little tricky. The Spartans, in their maneuvering for power, they'd actually promised Ionia to the Persians.
They what?
Yeah, they promised it away in exchange for Persian support against Athens.
Well, they promised away a whole region that wasn't even theirs to give. That's some serious power politics.
It does sound shocking now, but back then, these sorts of concessions, they were often part of strategic alliances. And for the Persians, regaining Ionia, well, it was a huge victory. It meant restoring their control over this vital economic region, erasing a symbol of their earlier defeat.
So the Ionians are back under Persian rule, but this time because of a deal made by the Spartans. Ouch.
It definitely complicates things. But the Ionians, they were resilient. They adapted. They maintained their cultural identity even under the rule of these different empires.
They did.
Well, for instance, during this period under the Persians, Ionia, it actually became a separate satrapy.
A satrapy.
Yeah, like a province
Yeah.
for the first time in its history.
So even though they were being tossed around like a political football, they gained a new level of administrative recognition.
Exactly. Even amidst the power struggles, the Persians, they recognized Ionia's unique character, its importance.
Okay, so the Persians are back in charge, but this isn't the end of the story, is it? We haven't even talked about Alexander the Great.
Ah, yes, Alexander.
Yeah.
About to make his grand entrance, sweeping across the ancient world, conquering everything in his path.
Right.
When he gets to Ionia, well, he presents himself as a liberator,
Yep.
freeing the Greeks from Persian rule.
I bet the Ionians were thrilled.
Yeah.
Alexander the Great to the rescue.
It was a dramatic moment, for sure. And Alexander, he was clever. He knew how to win them over, granted them autonomy, exempted them from taxes, even participated in their religious festivals.
Smart move. Win hearts and minds.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens to Ionia after Alexander dies? His empire was massive. Did it just, fall apart?
Well, not overnight, but it did eventually fracture. Divided amongst his generals, led to, well, you can imagine more power struggles, more shifting alliances.
Here we go again. More turmoil for Ionia.
Mm.
Did they ever manage to gain any lasting independence?
Well, they never formed a unified independent state, not like Athens or Sparta, but their cities, particularly those in the Ionian League, they continued to function as independent entities within those larger empires. And the Ionian League itself, it persisted throughout all those upheavals.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. Shows their resilience, doesn't it?
It does. They adapted, they compromised, but they never completely lost their sense of identity. But eventually, a new power would change the game forever.
The Romans.
The Romans, expanding their empire eastward, eventually absorbing Ionia, became part of the Roman province of Asia, actually, with Ephesus, one of the most magnificent Ionian cities, as its capital.
So after centuries of being caught between warring empires, they finally become part of a stable, unified power.
Yeah, and it ushered in a new era for Ionia. Roman rule, it brought peace, prosperity, but also new challenges. The Ionians, now Roman citizens, they had to navigate this new political and social landscape.
Did they manage to hold on to their cultural identity under Roman rule?
That's a great question. And the answer, it's complicated. Like so much of Ionian history, they adopted elements of Roman culture, of course, built Roman-style buildings, participated in Roman politics, served in the Roman army even.
It's a Romanization.
To a degree, yes, but they also held on to their own heritage. The Roman era, it actually saw a resurgence of interest in Ionian culture, history. Cities like Ephesus and Miletus, they flourished as centers of art, literature, philosophy, drawing inspiration from their Ionian past.
So it's a balance, then, between their Ionian identity and their Roman citizenship.
Exactly. This back and forth, this negotiation between local identity and imperial influence, it's a theme that, well, it echoes throughout history.
Makes you think, how much of our own modern identities are shaped by the legacies of these ancient empires.
Absolutely. History isn't just about, dates and battles. It's about these enduring legacies of cultures and ideas that continue to shape us.
Speaking of enduring legacies, we have to talk about Ionia's contribution to philosophy. Ionia, it was the birthplace of some of the most influential thinkers in Western history.
It was. Their ideas, they changed how we see the world. They laid the foundation for scientific inquiry and shaped, well, the course of Western thought. We already mentioned Thales of Miletus, but there were others. Anaximander, for example.
Right, Anaximander, with his concept of the apeiron, that boundless primordial substance, the origin of everything. Pretty mind-blowing for someone living over 2,500 years ago.
It really is. These early Ionian philosophers, they were wrestling with the biggest questions about the nature of reality, the universe, our place in it all. They were pioneers, moving away from those mythological explanations and embracing, well, reason, observation, as tools to understand the world.
So instead of just saying, the gods did it, they're trying to figure out how things actually work.
Exactly. And that shift in thinking, it was revolutionary. It set the stage for the development of science, of logic. And it's a legacy that, well, it continues to shape how we think today.
Amazing to think about, isn't it? These ideas, born in a small region on the edge of the Aegean Sea, having this profound impact on the world.
It is. Ionia, it reminds us that these great ideas, they can come from unexpected places, and that the pursuit of knowledge, it can transcend time and borders.
That's a great way to put it. Well, I think we've covered a lot of ground today in our deep dive into Ionia, explored their world, their struggles, their resilience, their incredible contributions to human thought.
It has been a fascinating journey. Hopefully it's inspired you to, to learn more, to think about how the legacies of the past, they continue to shape our world today.
Absolutely. So until our next deep dives, keep exploring, keep questioning, and, well, keep the spirit of Ionian curiosity alive.